I've been living alone in a cabin in the woods for 8 days now. Last night, I heard my own voice outside, calling from somewhere past the tree line. I need to write this down, while I still trust my own memory of it, because I'm starting to think that trust is exactly what's being taken from me, one night at a time. Let me back up. I came here because I needed to stop hearing things. Traffic, notifications, my own thoughts arguing with each other at 3 in the morning. My uncle left me this cabin 2 years ago, and I'd never once used it. One bag, no set return date, and a dirt road so rough my phone lost signal 4 miles before I even reached the driveway. That was the point. Quiet. Actual quiet. For the first few days, it was everything I wanted. Night 1. The cabin sits in a clearing just big enough for a fire pit and a line of sight to the stars. That first night, I built a fire, more out of habit than need, and sat there until it burned down to coals. The forest made forest sounds, crickets in long overlapping waves, something small moving through the leaf litter, an owl somewhere off to the west. I remember thinking that I hadn't heard actual silence in years, and that this wasn't silence at all. It was just sound, with nothing artificial mixed into it. I slept better that night than I had in months. Night 2. By the second night, I'd settled into a rhythm. Chop wood in the afternoon, sit by the fire after dark, read until my eyes gave out. I want to be clear that I wasn't afraid of the woods. I've camped before. I know what raccoons sound like, what deer sound like when they snap a branch and then freeze, waiting to see if you noticed. None of that bothered me. What bothered me happened around midnight, when the fire had burned low and orange, and I heard someone call my name from somewhere past the trees. Not an animal sound, not wind doing something clever with a hollow log. My name, first name, said the way I say it, with that slight flatness I've been told I have. It came from maybe 40, 50 feet out, past where the firelight stopped meaning anything. I sat very still. I told myself it was an echo. Voices carry strangely in open forest. I'd read that somewhere, or maybe I just wanted to have read it somewhere. I didn't go look. I put another log on the fire instead, and I stayed inside the ring of light until my eyes were too heavy to keep open. And then I went inside and locked a door that has no real lock, just a hook and an eye. And I lay there listening until I fell asleep, out of sheer exhaustion. Night 4. I skipped a night in this telling, because nothing happened on night 3. I want you to know that, because I think that gap mattered. I think it was letting me relax again, on purpose. Night 4. I was out by the fire later than usual, maybe 1 in the morning, and I heard my mother's voice. She was crying, not performing it. Actually crying, that specific broken rhythm you only recognize if you've heard someone you love fall apart. She said my name. She said she didn't know where she was. She asked me to come find her. My mother lives 400 miles from here. I know this. I knew it in the moment. Standing up so fast, I knocked my chair backward into the dirt, already moving 3 steps toward the tree line, before some small, cold part of my brain grabbed the back of my shirt and said, "She is not out there." I stopped at the edge of the firelight, right at the edge, where the orange gives way to blue-black, and the crying kept going, a little further off now, like it was waiting to see if I'd follow. I didn't follow. I stood there shaking, and after maybe 2 minutes, the sound just stopped. Not faded. Stopped, the way a recording stops. I drove out the next morning until I had 1 bar of signal and called her. She answered on the second ring, annoyed that I was checking in. Completely fine. No idea what I was talking about. I told her I loved her, and didn't explain why. I drove back feeling like an idiot. I almost packed up and left that day. I didn't. I told myself the isolation was getting to me. That grief and burnout do strange things to a mind that isn't used to being alone with itself. and that leaving now would mean admitting I couldn't handle my planned 2 weeks of quiet. I want you to remember that reasoning, because I think it's exactly the reasoning something wanted me to have. Night 5. During the day, I started paying attention to the tree line in a way I hadn't before. Looking for something. I didn't know what. Broken branches, tracks, anything that would let me file this under explainable. I found a spot maybe 60 feet out where the underbrush was flattened in a rough circle, like something had sat there for a long time. No droppings. No tracks leading to or from it, which didn't make sense for an animal, but made even less sense for anything else. I stood over it for a long time before I made myself walk back to the cabin. That night, going through my uncle's old things in the loft, I found a notebook. Most of it was just supply lists and dates, but on the second to last page, in different handwriting than the rest, shakier, pressed hard enough to tear the paper in places, someone had written, "It only sounds like what you love. Don't answer past the fire." I don't know who wrote that. I don't know if it was my uncle in a different mood, or somebody before him. I've been trying very hard not to think about the fact that whoever wrote it clearly knew, from experience, that it happens more than once. Night 6. It was my best friend's voice this time. Easier to be sure about somehow, because I've known that voice since we were 14. Every inflection, every way he laughs at his own jokes before he finishes them. He said my name like we were mid-conversation, like I just stepped away for a second. He said, "Hey, come here. You have to see this." The exact tone he'd use if he'd actually found something. A deer, a weird rock formation, nothing urgent. Just come look. That's what almost got me. Not fear, curiosity. It didn't sound like a trap. It sounded like a Tuesday. I had 1 foot past the firelight before I caught myself. And when I did, I swear the voice paused. Just for a second. Like it noticed the mistake before I did. Like it was recalibrating. Then it laughed again. Softer. Closer. And said my name a second time in a slightly different pitch. Like it was trying 2 versions to see which one worked better. I went inside. I didn't sleep. I sat with my back against the door until the sky started turning gray, listening to something walk in slow, patient circles around the cabin, never touching the walls, never coming closer than the tree line, just checking, testing, like it had time, like it had nothing but time. Night 7. I need to tell you something I'm not proud of, because I think it matters more than anything else in this story. I've been talking to myself out here. A lot. Not in a strange way. I think most people would. Alone this long, no one to talk to but the fire. Narrating what I'm doing. Rehearsing conversations I'll probably never have. Saying my mother's name, my friend's name, out loud, just to hear something familiar in the air. I didn't think about what that meant until night 7, staring at the fire, and I thought, it's been listening to me build the voices myself. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it needs me to say a name out loud first, or if it was always going to find its way into my mother's voice and my friend's voice eventually, with or without my help. But I stopped talking out loud after that. I started writing everything down instead, in silence, and it felt like taking a weapon out of someone else's hands. That night was quiet. Too quiet, honestly. No crying, no calling, not even the normal forest static of crickets and small things moving. Just the fire, and the specific kind of silence that feels like something is holding its breath on purpose. Night 8. Tonight. I was writing by the fire, the notebook page you're basically reading right now, when I heard a voice from directly behind me, inside the ring of light, close enough that I felt the air move. It was my own voice, not calling from the trees this time. Right behind my shoulder, quiet, almost gentle, saying, "You can stop writing now. I've got it from here." I didn't turn around. I don't know how long I sat there, not turning around, listening to my own breathing get slower and steadier right behind me, matching mine, then leading mine, until I genuinely couldn't tell which one of us was breathing first. The fire didn't go out. Nothing touched me. After some amount of time, I can't measure, it was simply gone. The way the crying had stopped on night 4. Not faded, just switched off. I went inside. I locked the hook that isn't really a lock. I sat on the floor with my back against the door, and at some point, I must have started talking, because I woke up hoarse, throat raw, like I'd been shouting for hours, with no memory of anything I said. I'm leaving in the morning. I've already decided that. I don't know if leaving will be enough, and I keep thinking about that line in my uncle's notebook. It only sounds like what you love, and wondering if that's the whole warning, or only the first half of it. Because here's the thing I haven't told you yet. An hour ago, before I started writing this down, I drove out to where I get 1 bar of signal, and I called my best friend, just to hear his real voice and remind myself what it actually sounds like. He picked up laughing and said, "Dude, why are you calling me twice in one night?" I hadn't called him at all before that. He said I'd talked to him for almost 10 minutes, an hour earlier. He said I sounded a little off, but fine. He said I told him I loved him and hung up before he could say it back. I don't remember that call. I was standing by the fire an hour ago, and I remember every second of that hour, and none of it involved a phone. So I don't really know who he was talking to. I just know it's still light enough outside to drive, and I'm going to finish packing now, and I'd very much like to be gone before the fire burns down again. Subscribe for more stories.